Always great talking to my next guest. Trevin Giles is going to be taking on a nice opponent here in Yong Park at UFC Fight Night on August 1st. Trevin, how are you, man?
I'm doing good. How are you? It's been a minute.
Yes, it has been a minute. Good to see you back here. Before we sort of talk about this fight, I know you got a lot going on right now outside of fighting. You're a police officer, and obviously you're an African American as well. How has it been with work over the last couple months? Dealing with that and COVID and everything else. It must be pretty different than what you're used to.
Yeah, I think it's a different time for everybody, but it's been good. I've been blessed. Me and my family haven't really been affected too negatively, so we're blessed and we're making it through.
That's good. How about your hours? Have they changed over the last couple of months just because of I'm sure a lot of other stuff happening that wouldn't normally happen, like protesting and all that other stuff?
Yeah, at one point it got kind of crazy. We had a lot of people coming out through our downtown area. So we had some pretty crazy hours that we had to work and with no days off and everything. So it was kind of rough, but it wasn't too bad. And
you mentioned, having to not get any days off and not much time off. I guess you probably didn't get much training for a couple of months there just because you've been so busy with work.
Yeah, for a little while, it's been pretty tough. Like I said, we were on some pretty long shifts and no days off. I mean, it was literally, going home, cleaning up, seeing the family as much as I can, and then falling asleep, waking up, and going straight back to work.
When did that stop in terms of the longer hours? Because you got this fight coming up here soon. Have things died down a bit, so at least you're getting in some training in between there?
Yeah, things have died down a lot. Everything's not it's not chaos over here at all. Our police department has done a good job at controlling things and doing good with our manpower and working with what we got. So we're not like crazy overworked or anything. Everything's calmed down. There obviously people are still upset about certain things that are going on in the world right now. So there are always little protests and stuff like that, but nothing too huge and out of control. So that's stopped. All the long hours kind of stopped maybe around 3-4 weeks ago.
Okay, well, that's good. Let's talk about your last fight, a really close fight in really weird circumstances, right? Like you had to fight James Krause on, less than, 24 hours notice, guy moving up a couple weight classes. And then the fight was close. And I know the judges gave you the nod, but a lot of people felt like Krause won. At least, there's a lot of backlash from that. What was it like going through that situation? Because you were sort of left, sort of being unfair in this whole thing just because you had to take the new opponent and you're not the one calling the fight in terms of the judging.
Yeah, I mean, it was a little bit annoying, but I don't pay too much attention to that. It's definitely been a conversation for a little while. It kind of stretched out a little longer than I thought it would after the fight. But the way I see it is you get two guys that both have an equal opportunity to go in there and get the finish on the other guy. If you don't think you can win, or whatever, you feel like there's some kind of disadvantage, don't take the fight, So if any fighter, and I'm sure Krause, when he took the fight, he felt like he could win. He didn't go in there feeling like, oh, this is unfair or anything like that, because you didn't have to say anything, but I know that he felt like he was going to win, as a competitor. Whenever it goes to the judges, to me, I always feel like I haven't done my job. At that point, the judges have to do it for us. We couldn't get it done. We didn't have enough time or whatever the case may be. I wouldn't have been upset either way, just because it went to the judges, So in a sense, if you didn't just completely dominate somebody, I can see if you completely dominate somebody and, you shut them down, but they're too tough to get finished. And it ends up going the other way. I can see you make an argument on that. But you start talking about split decisions and stuff. What can you do, man? To me, it's kind of crazy to hear people complain about that, whether, different people online and all that other stuff. If you look at the history of the sport, this isn't anything new. When it goes to a decision, especially a split, you never know where it's going to go. It was a good fight. I think we both performed well. It was an exciting fight. We had the fight of the night. And that means a lot, especially considering the main event, So I thought it was good. I get a little bit frustrated when I start hearing about people talk about what's unfair and what isn't when you allow a fight to go the distance. Again, just because we both, nobody stopped you, no outside hand stopped you from finishing. Nobody told you, hey, y'all have to go to a decision. Nobody did that, So if you're upset about a decision, whether it be fans, whether it be Krause or whatever, you just got to finish the fight, So when we were standing there, honestly, I was standing there and I'm thinking I won. I'm sure he felt like he won. And but at the same time in my head, I'm like, if he got it, the guy fought good. It was a close enough fight. It is what it is. We got to finish these fights. So I don't know. So, but to answer your question, I was a little bit annoyed with all the stuff that came with it and all the hype after the fight. It was a decision, man. It happens.
Well, I think it was amplified because it was the fact that Krause was coming up a weight class or two, and because I know he used to fight at lightweight, he's welterweight now, but I think it was the fact that he came up a weight class, and that sort of amplified things. Like if they had brought in just a regular middleweight that was just hanging out there and he did it, I don't think it would be as big of a deal. But I think because people wanted to see this crazy story of a guy taking a fight on short notice, that sort of amplified things. But how did you deal with that on social media after? Because I'm sure you've had fans before say things like stupid stuff on social media, but how is it this time? Because I imagine fans can be a little bit vicious.
Yeah, so I mean, to be honest, and this isn't like just dissing all the fans or nothing like that, but some MMA fans are just kind of weird. No,
you don't have to tell me that. I see it too. Even
yeah, man, it's kind of crazy. I didn't deal with it in a particular way. I mean, it's social media. People are going to be on there, typing away. So it is what it is. To me, the way I see it is, you got a bunch of outside people that have stuff to say. But they're not the ones that are in there fighting. The only person that I would listen to is Krause. That's the only person I would respect enough to listen to because he was in there with me. We were in there fighting. We were in there risking our health and our safety and stuff like that. So that's the only person that I would respect enough to actually listen to and feel the need to have a response. Now that's not saying that it doesn't annoy me when people talk, because I still see it and stuff. It's unavoidable. People get to talking and stuff, and like, oh, well, you're a middleweight and he came up weight class or whatever, he didn't have a training camp and all that other stuff, and so by the way, you suck, right? Like it is what it is, so if people feel like that, that's fine. They're entitled to think what they want. They're the fans, they get to say what they like and what they don't like, and if they don't like me, I mean, they don't have to watch me. I mean, they can tune in to try to see me lose, but good luck.
How do you feel like you match up against your opponent here? Park, 11-4 record. What do you know about him?
As far as I know right now, he seems like he's a decent boxer. It seems like for the most part, that's what he wants to do, is he wants to box. And I like boxing, so I think it'll be a fun fight. Every now and then I know that he'll randomly shoot and stuff, and he'll toss out a few leg kicks, but he's comfortable boxing. I can tell by his reactions, how he starts to move when he wants to counter and stuff. So I expect him to have some decent hands when we get out there. It'll probably be mostly a boxing match.
What type of training camp have you had leading into this?
A pretty good one. I've had a pretty decent training camp. Been getting in a bunch of cardio and stuff, and just getting a bunch of rounds in with all the sparring partners I got. Been having a great camp. Actually had to. Got the opportunity to train with Nate Marquardt. He was pretty good. He came out, so shout out to him. Him, Charlie, Ontiveros, Millie. I mean, all the guys that are helping me at my camp have been great. Everybody, every single person that I had the pleasure to share the mat with has been great for this camp. So I'm excited for it. I can't wait. It's gonna be a fun fight.
How did Nate end up training at that gym? Did you just stop by, or was there some sort of connection?
Yeah. So Nate was from what he told me, he was getting ready to move. I think he's going to Thailand.
Yeah, with Ian Heinisch, they're going to move down there and I think train there permanently. So. Right.
Yeah. So I guess he was on his way to do that, and then they kind of closed the border on him, so he couldn't leave out. So right now he just kind of stumbled upon War, and he just got some rounds in over with me and some of the other guys. But yeah, it's been great having him. He's been awesome.
Does the work schedule crack down a little bit in terms of your hours leading up to fight time, or has it been pretty much the same like regular schedule you've had?
No, it's kind of cracked down. I ended up taking a vacation so that I can have more time to be training and working on my cardio and everything else. But yeah, so I haven't been working for as many hours. I'm actually still on vacation, getting ready to go back into work here soon, next week. So I've been able to get a lot of training in.
And how about the weight cut? How's that going? Because again, I know it's tough when you're working those extra hours. You're not sleeping properly. It's really tough to lose the pounds. Even you can eat as healthy as you want, but you need proper sleep too, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's very important. But it's been going okay with me. I mean, I've had easier times, I've had harder times. So I'm floating around somewhere in the middle, but it won't be a problem. I've never had issues making weight or anything like that, so it's going to happen.
Who's going to be in your corner for this fight?
So I'll have Richard, Adam. I'll have, which is one of my coaches, Adam Copley. I'll have my boy Lee, and then I'll also have Jeremy Mahone. He's another one of my coaches. Yeah, and that's it. So it's a pretty good squad that I got. There's some pretty good coaches, and I'm excited to work with them.
How do you see the matchup playing out on August 1st?
I think we're going to come out. We'll kind of get a feel of each other. I'll be trying to mess with his rhythm and stuff, and I think once I kind of get a hold of his timing and stuff like that, I'll just start picking him apart. I expect to finish him, just like I expect to finish everybody, but I expect to finish him maybe early round 3. Maybe. I think he might be tough. I've seen him take a couple of shots, and he looks like he might be a little bit solid, but we'll see.
And what's next after this? It's been a crazy year for most people, but for you in particular, like I said, being a police officer, having to have a fight career as well. Plus you're a dad. I'm sure you'd like maybe a little bit of time off after this, or are you looking to get right back in there?
It depends. Life brings different things. It's just it'll all depend. I definitely love spending time with my family. I don't get to get nearly enough time with my family, with everything that I do, and I'm constantly staying busy. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. If we end up getting a fight that just makes sense, I'm always just waiting to see what it is. So I take it fight by fight, and we'll just see how that goes.
And how's fatherhood been? I know very challenging on top of everything else, but I'm sure you're getting the hang of it now. It's been a bit.
Yeah, it's been great. I always hear people saying, hey, they grow up fast and everything else. But, you hear that, but, to see it is just another thing, man, to see them start to grow teeth and run around and all that other stuff. So it's just been a great experience for me. It's kind of changing me as a person. It's kind of motivating me a little bit more with certain things. So yeah, it's been great. It's been easy. My wife makes it super easy. I mean, she does all the work, and I get to play with them, So, I'm grateful for that, and it's been great for me, man. I'm blessed.
Well, we're looking forward to your next fight. It's coming up here August 1st. It is UFC Fight Night. Trevin, always appreciate the time, man. I know you got a million things to do, so thanks for joining me here. If you got any sponsors you want to thank, you want to plug any social media, the floor is yours.
Right now, I didn't mention Alex Morono. He's been a big help too. He's always concerned with coming in and trying to help out as much as he can. And he's also a great coach as well. He has some great advice and stuff like that too. So shout out to you, Alex. Again, and everybody else I train with, my boy, Charlie's getting ready to come out to Vegas, and hopefully he gets a fight. So he's going to be sitting out there. And hopefully he gets something going, man. If he does, man, that's gonna be great. So shout out to you too, Charlie, and everybody over at War, just everybody, all my family, my friends, everybody who's been with me from, ups and downs and, the wins, losses, all that stuff. I appreciate you guys. And, I just want to thank everybody. And then last but not least, God, just for blessing me enough to stay healthy, to keep doing this, and just for giving me what I got, man, and letting me have these opportunities.